And now, Legal Perspective with Nick Clekis.
It's time for your weekly Legal Perspective with Nick Clekis. Each week, we dive into critical legal topics to keep you informed and protected. With summer right around the corner, it's important to remember that operating a boat under the influence can have serious legal consequences. Here with more on BUIs is Nicholas Clekis, owner of the Clekis Law Firm. Nick, great to have you back with us.
Good to see you again.
And so we're talking about BUIs, not to get confused with DUIs.
Correct. Boating under the influence.
Yeah, so is boating under the influence, is it more serious than a DUI?
It's kind of the same thing as far as blood levels is still 0.08. The thing about BUI that's a little interesting that we were talking about before the show is that if you're convicted, you can't operate a watercraft for 6 months, and that is any kind of watercraft, a rowboat, surfboard. You really can't be on the water at all. So I always try and handle those cases in October so that if they get convicted or they plea, then they have the winter to go through, no water access.
So if you get convicted of a BUI, is there any effect on your driving record?
No.
And now vice versa, if you get convicted of a DUI, does that affect you being able to operate a boat?
It does not.
Okay, and so what do you do if you are stopped and suspected of maybe boating under the influence? Do they do the same test, maybe a field sobriety test?
Sure, so same with DUI, BUI, you're asked to do certain coordination tests, field sobriety tests, which you can refuse. You're not required to do it. And that's one of the big mistakes that people make when they're pulled over. Ma'am, have you had anything to drink? Oh, I had a couple of glasses of wine at dinner. Well, that's probable cause. That's an admission against interest. You've already admitted that you had been drinking, and so who's to say what the level is, how fast you drank those on an empty stomach, how big were the glasses, so once you admit it, that's all on body cam and whatnot. Yeah. So, you can refuse it, but if you refuse it on the street, you lose your license automatically for 6 months, and you lose the opportunity to run a boat or a watercraft same way. So it's a privilege that you lose if you refuse.
Okay, so if we refuse to not do any field sobriety tests, we lose our boating license or a driver's license for 6 months.
That's correct.
But now, would you recommend someone to refuse that if they are suspected?
Well, my standard answer to that is it's like high school. If you can't pass the test, don't take it.
Okay, that's fair. And so if someone is possibly dealing with a BUI conviction, where do they go?
Well, call the Clekis Law Firm,
Clekis
obviously,
Law Firm.
Clekis.com or 843-9000000. But in all seriousness, always get legal help with these kind of things. This is not something you should try and navigate on your own. There are serious consequences, and there could be additional charges. And just like DUI, if you're stopped with a BUI and there's any personal injury or death, the penalties are enhanced, and you can go to jail for 25 years if it's a death case, like a felony DUI. And if there's property damage too, there's enhanced penalties. So it's important anytime you're stopped by the police and charged with anything to call a competent lawyer or somebody that knows how to handle this stuff.
Yeah, and this is very important with summer right around the corner, and BUIs and DUIs are both extremely serious.
Yeah, well, they have the 100 days of summer where all the deaths occur between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and now Charleston waters are so crowded with boaters on the weekends, it's gotten more dangerous than it ever has been.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next week you're going to join us back here, and we're going to shift gears, and we're going to talk about criminal defense.
Yes.
So stay tuned. Nick, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're back in 2 minutes.
This has been Legal Perspective with Nick Clekis.